Welcome back to the channel. The subject of today's video is going to be the extreme affordability of used modern laptops. Some of the stuff I'm seeing out there is just wild. And also keep in mind, when I say modern, that means, let's say, within the last 5 years. For most people just hanging out at home, a 5-year-old laptop is going to do everything. All the equipment I use to create these videos is that old or older. So 5-year-old, that's pretty good. The particular one I have selected for this video is not the cheapest thing I could find because there are some unique features on it that I just want to check out personally, so I paid up for them a little bit. So we're going to see what I would consider to be the top end of the affordable laptops, and then we'll just peruse eBay at some point, just see what's out there right this second, and just show you what I'm talking about. First things first, here is the dude as I have received it. This one came from Amazon. And I got this one from Amazon because at the time, it was the best deal for one with the features I wanted in excellent condition. The condition is very variable on used equipment. I haven't bought a new laptop for myself since I think 2000 or 1999. All of my laptops have been used. So there's some scale of acceptability there, but for this one, being the first big upgrade I've done since, I think, 2012 era technology, I wanted one that should be nice, especially with the features I've selected. So anyway, this came from Amazon exactly like this. I would say there's 2 inches or so of slack in here, an inch or so of slack back here. This box is easily 3 inches too deep. There was no packing material of any kind in here, so they shipped it this way within this box. I believe, had I not selected this to be in Amazon packaging, that they would have just shipped it like this by itself. So we'll see what we get from that. Also worth a mention that Amazon does not sell used stuff. Third-party resellers on Amazon do. So it's basically eBay just with a easy 30-day return window, instead of fighting with eBay stuff and PayPal and all that. So if we open this thing up and it's just junk, it just goes straight back to Amazon like anything else, and no big deal. So another reason I went with Amazon instead of eBay. Plus I actually need this thing, and eBay sellers being what they are. Anyway, let's get it open. Oh, and for reference, this is a 5330 Dell. In general, I tend to like Dells, not because they're the highest quality thing in the world, and certainly not because of their actual customer support, but their support site tends to be the best. They maintain drivers for download and service manuals and stuff forever. And with this series of machine also being a business class machine, parts are everywhere for them. So typical stuff you might need in the future, like cooling fans and stuff like that, just litter the earth right now. So that's all good stuff. So like I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you buy, let's say, a used Acer or Asus or MSI or anything like that, because those are not going to have nearly as large of a deployed base as Dell. I would have actually preferred a Lenovo because I think their product is actually a little better in this period, but the prices are much, much higher. I think also because there just aren't as many of them in the world. So that's why I went with Dell. We'll get into more about this particular one if I can ever get the box open. There we go. Finally on the way. And you're going to see it for the first time right along with me, so we'll both learn what excellent condition means. First of all, we do have a charger. It is a generic... No, that's a Dell charger. Take my word for it for now, but yeah, it definitely says Dell on it. This is also a modern enough laptop that it charges through USB-C, which is awesome. So no more proprietary chargers. It looks like it came packed in a little bubble bag, which is also good news. Let's see if we can get it out of the bag. Okay. So far so good. I don't see any big chunks or anything. All right. Let's feast our eyes upon physical condition. There's some very, very light scratching on the bottom, which so what. There's probably proprietary information on the packing list. Top of it has a really light scratch right there. Not a big deal. Another one over here. That could have even been from shipping. The sides of it are basically like new, or at least this side is. That USB connector has just a little chip in the edge of it. You can see how it's kind of white right there. It might not even be a chip. That might be that way by intention. I'm not sure. I did just get a little piece of silver something on my finger. I don't know if that's a sticker or... Looks like that could have been maybe from this hinge area. But the back of the thing also looks really good. This may have actually been cleaned like they claimed. I don't see any kind of dust in the fan or the back vents or anything. Okay, we have the same little mark on this USB connector, so that's probably is intentional. We have a micro SD reader, which I knew about. HDMI, lock, dual Thunderbolt ports, which is good for what I'm after. But yeah, at a glance, this thing appears to actually be in excellent shape. Let's take a look at the business end of things. Yeah, it's a little bit dirty, but that could have happened in shipping. Okay, that does not come off, I don't think, or maybe it does. Yeah, that's actually never been removed, I don't think. This thing actually has a fingerprint reader built into the power button, which I don't really care about, but it looks like the product identifier that says that has never been removed. Keyboard feels, mushy like a laptop keyboard, but looks perfect. The screen on this thing, I'll give it a clean in a minute, but at a glance, now at a glance it seems okay. It's obviously going to be difficult to show you the screen, but I'll show you one of the reasons I had to pay up for this thing. This is what's known as a 2-in-1, which means it can do that. And it becomes a tablet. I've never used a tablet PC. It's something I wanted to check out. I think it's a pretty cool feature. Time will tell how this hinge design and stuff holds up. But yeah, pretty cool. So far, at a glance, I'm happy with this thing. It does actually appear to be in excellent condition. The only thing I'm not sure about is whether or not this one has a backlit keyboard. The listing didn't say, and people are going to want to see how to do that anyway. The bad news is with these modern Dells, they are a serviceability nightmare compared to the old ones. My old E-Series Dells, there's one screw and the whole back plate comes off. The keyboard you could actually replace from the top. You just snap some trim off and you could pull the whole keyboard out from the top and plug a new one in. It's about a 10-minute job. This thing has to get gutted all the way down to the bare case to change a keyboard, which kind of sucks, but is what it is. But speaking of, that is the next thing I want to check out just quickly, is to see if this has actually been cleaned. And again, this is kind of grading the particular Amazon seller more so than this model of laptop itself, but it looks really nice. And just to let the cat out of the bag, if I haven't said it already, this one, which I paid up for because it's a convertible touchscreen. It is also a i7-1265, so it's a 12th generation i7. We are in, I think, the 15th generation right now, so it's basically a 3-year-old processor. 32 gigs of RAM, which is maxed out. Sadly, all Dells of this class have permanently installed RAM, so you can't upgrade it later, and if you have a problem, you're on the hook. And it has a 0.5 terabyte SSD, which is immediately going to get upgraded. That you can actually do. With all that in mind, I paid, shipped to my door with tax and everything, about $440 for this one. If you are offended by that, just not getting a 2-in-1 knocks pretty much $100 off of the price of these things. And stepping back another generation knocks another $100 off. So if you shop eBay, and you're also not as obsessed with the highest quality possible, and you're not worried about a touch, and you're not worried about the latest, greatest, well, the newest CPU that was available in this model. So if you drop back to a 5230 instead of a 5330 and you don't get the 2-in-1, you can find these for like $200. They're probably not going to be this nice, but it's $200 for what for me is like a brand new laptop. Okay, so all of our screws are loose, and now it seems the next trick of every modern laptop is they also snap together, which is not my favorite thing. I'm going to go around and see if we can release it. I got in trouble once in a video for not having plastic pry tools, so everybody should be a lot happier with me now because I got some. I'm wondering if there isn't a better place to start surgery than where I'm trying. If I have a thinner tool, this guy's kind of a ice cream scoop shape, it might be useful. Really not a fan of this concept where everything snaps together, but this is the way everything is now. Did I not loosen this one? I did not. Maybe I think I thought that was a different piece. Yeah, that's making things a little better. It's amazing what taking all the screws out will do. Looks like there might be a small crack in that vent. I may or may not have helped that happen. All right, what I'm doing here that's helping is I'm just giving this a little twist, and it's just popping the clips right off. Anybody who actually does IT stuff professionally is probably laughing at me. They'll probably be into this in about 12 seconds. Okay, we're finally in. see if I feel things have actually been cleaned. Oh, not really. The fan's kind of dirty. Yeah, you can see maybe that the fan's kind of dirty. It's not that bad, but they very clearly didn't go through a lot of effort to clean anything out there. But all said and done, this really isn't that bad. From the looks of things, this thing probably did not get all that much use, so they probably didn't have to clean up much. Yeah, this is looking pretty good in general. If you are wondering, battery is removable, but you have to gut it down to do it, and it's got a power connector and stuff you have to deal with. SSD is upgradable, so that's not cast in stone, but the RAM is not. So if you're looking at one of these Dells, I would advise you to get the biggest amount of RAM that you feel like paying for. For me, less than 32 didn't make any sense. I would strongly suggest no less than 16 for anybody. You'll find these things with 8 gigs in them for like $150. Again, not this exact one and not in this nice of shape, but real cheap. So I'm going to say this is going to conclude our first look at this thing. I'll put whatever refurbisher it is in the description, but just because they did a good job once doesn't mean they'll do a good job every time. And we'll also go on eBay and look at some comps that are maybe less featured if you want to spend a little less money. But at least for me today, this is what's out there. And this is pretty good for the money. I'm going to go take this thing out to the shop, clean that fan out quick, probably give the rest of it a quick wipe down because the screen's kind of dirty. I don't think it's hurt, it's just dirty. Then we're going to boot it up and see what we've got on the, the actual computering side of things. I'll be back in just a minute. So I started hitting this thing with some compressed air and a whole bunch of fuzz started coming out of the fan. So it is actually dirtier than I thought it was. And if you're watching this and going, hey, this is supposed to be refurbished, this is 100% what I expected. They basically may have hit this thing with a towel. They probably reloaded Windows onto it, which in a future video we're going to do again. Because why would you ever trust that? And then stuck it in a box to ship it off. So I'm not surprised they're upset by this. Pretty normal stuff. All right, at this point, knowing that I'm going to eventually want to repaste this thing anyway, what I'm going to do is say the juice isn't worth the squeeze. I've got the fan separated from the heatsink, just a little bit right there with that pry tool. That's going to give me a little more room to get some compressed air in there and try and get rid of, I think you can probably see some of these fibers that are coming out of the thing. Yeah, we don't want that in there. It looks like somebody was maybe using it on their actual lap, which I always try and recommend against. But anyway, I'm going to do what I can without gutting this thing down to the gristle for now. So I've got this thing cleaned up and I'm pretty pleased with the condition. It also occurred to me that these light scratches we see are from the hinges when you 2-in-1 it. So that was going to happen no matter who had it or how it was treated. One thing I'm not real pleased about, and it's okay because they didn't say, so there's nothing that they lied about, is I think this is probably a counterfeit aftermarket power adapter. I had one of these do bad things a long time ago, so now I try to only get the original thing. I don't know if this is normal for Dell or not, but the first thing that tipped me off is that it's running this adapter. I'm going to guess that's not the right thing. The next thing that tipped me off, and if you are an IT professional, you can tell me, I have not known Dell to be in the practice of misspelling their own name. Deal part number. And you can also see this sticker is applied pretty haphazardly. This is probably a generic charger. However, this thing is what we've got for today. So for better or worse, it's what we're going to use. Also in the past, Dells would complain if they didn't have an official charger. It would give you a BIOS error unless somebody defeated that functionality on purpose. So it will be interesting to see if such a thing occurs to us today. So jump in here real quick. It's a couple days later, my new actual Dell power supply showed up. I believe this actually is actually new and probably is real Dell. And this happens to be the 130 watt charger. My laptop would have come with a 65, so it never hurts to have a little more capacity. At a not overly deep glance, everything about this appears legit, including its newness. And this thing was an entire $30, as you see it. Well worth the money. Let me show you one of the things I don't like about these generic, I've never had a straight up counterfeit one before, but we'll just say generic / counterfeit laptop chargers. I had one of these just about burn my house down once, which was a little my fault, little its fault, but either way. So that's a thing. Sometimes they get really hot. Another thing, and there's nothing particularly weird going on about this extension cord, it's just a heavy-duty one that I don't really care about too much. This thing also throws giant sparks, or at least it did the last time I plugged it in. So let's see if it's going to do it today, too. Nope. You know, it's a fun thing with YouTube sometimes is you don't always get what you want. But yeah, take my word for it. The last time I plugged this thing into the outlet strip I use for everything on this channel, if you see it on this bench, it threw a spark that was like a big enough spark that it made a pop. It may have been because whatever capacitors are in this thing had a couple days to discharge. I don't know, but that thing's bound for the trash. This being widely available in great condition for a fair price just reiterates why I try and stick with Dell. Not because the products are the best in the world. There's probably better laptops out there. There's certainly better support available, I'm sure. But just the availability of parts is, on the secondhand market anyway, it's just incredible with Dell. Anyway, I don't know if it matters which USB-C port we choose, or Thunderbolt port for charging, but I've chosen that one. It was my expectation that this thing should now boot up. I didn't try before. And this screen is, again, this is my first touchscreen laptop, but this screen is super prone to picking up stuff. It is super duper shiny. You can probably tell that. All right, let's see if we have a big fireball. Ooh, backlit keyboard. Good news. Secured with Dell Safe BIOS. Yeah, I don't care. Unless it won't let me in which point I'll care a lot. We have Windowsy things going on. Cool. All right, so this is a fresh Windows install, so they at least did that. We're going to be reloading our own version of Windows on this anyway, so we're not going to spend a lot of time here. First thing we're going to do is see if we can connect this thing or boot this thing without a network. There is a way to do it. The reason why that's important is because as soon as you sign into a network, it forces you to use a Windows login or a Microsoft account to register this thing to you forever. I absolutely detest that business model, so I'm going to try and skip over that now. With each refinement of Windows, this gets harder and harder to do. What I did there was Shift F10, that gives me a command prompt. I'm going to now type OOB. Allegedly, I'm going to know. Oh, yes. Another thing about most modern laptops, at least from what I can tell, is they don't have frickin' buttons anymore. It's going to take me a while to adjust to that. I'm used to having buttons down here. But we're going to go OOB / bypass NRO. And that should reboot it and give me a dialog to skip networking. Especially because I don't know what's on this thing. It's a good idea to not have it on my network. It's probably just fine, but, you know, better an ounce of prevention kind of deal, right? All right, we are now back to where we once belonged. Still in America. Let's connect me to the network. Now I have the I don't have internet option down by the next button. So now we'll do that. Sign our life away to Microsoft. I haven't thought of a snappy name for this one yet, so it's going to be Dell 5330. Turn all the things off. Hey, the thing is a touchscreen, right? Not yet, it's not. Apparently we need some drivers. Oh no, there it goes. Ah, nice. So to get around the crappy touchpad, we can just touch the screen. The crappy touchpad, I knew about that before I bought it. All of them are getting to be this way now. Lenovo still has actual buttons, but they're the buttons for the little nipple mouse. So they're up here instead of down here. Things I'm going to have to get get used to in the modern world. So, but it's going to be doing Windowsy things for a while. Again, that's not the point of this video. This video is just kind of an unboxing, what you get, what it costs, what kind of condition you can expect. If folks are interested, I would be willing to roll the dice and buy one of these that is like $200. The reason I didn't is because I don't need two. So that would also have to come with almost I'll say a very strong handshake that somebody wants to buy it when I'm done. But yeah, that would be a fun video, but I don't need two of them. Okay, we have Windowsy things. The next thing I want to do is just come over to Device Manager and see what SSD is in it to see if I can easily download a backup program. Walk disk, never heard of. Battery's charging. They didn't ship it fully charged, which is actually good news. That's probably a good time to go check out those eBay listings I mentioned. Just see what's out there. See what we could get for $200 if somebody were interested in a thing like this. All right, so here we are at the E of Bays, mid-November 2025. Let's just check out and see what we could get for basically what I have. So you're going to see right off the bat that right now the deal is exactly the same as it was when I bought mine. This one is stating to be in good condition, whereas mine was sold in excellent condition, and I believe it actually is. And it's actually a little bit more money versus Amazon, so it pays to shop around a little. And then right below it, you'll see exactly what I was talking about. This guy with 8 gigs of RAM, I would not suggest to anybody, but it is dirt cheap. I also don't believe it to be a 2-in-1, because it doesn't say it right in the listing. Yeah, it looks like most of these are probably not 2-in-1. That's a 2-in-1 touch. You can also get a touch screen without being 2-in-1, just FYI on that. But yeah, here's same CPU, 16 gigs of RAM, really baby SSD that you would want to upgrade. That appears to be an actual Dell power supply, which is nice. I'm going to say not a touch screen. A little shaggy around the edges, but if you use one at all, it's going to eventually get that way, right? Maybe a little more shaggy than I would like personally. It's not so much that I'm like vain about the condition of this stuff. It just shows how it was treated in its past life. Yeah, it looks like this one's had a bit of a hard life, but it is $250 shipped. Let's see what else we have. And let's, for now, try and limit our searches to just 2-in-1s. It looks like there's a bit of a drought at the moment. Okay, yeah, pretty much same deal I bought it mine for. Okay, here's a cheaper one. 16 gigs of RAM. So yeah, in this case, just dropping the RAM in half. It takes $100 off the price. Glancing at it. Looks to be in a little bit rougher shape than mine, but not bad. And just for fun, let's drop back a generation. Okay, so here's a 2-in-1 with 32 gigs of RAM with a 1 generation older i7 in it for $270. I actually looked at this seller before I purchased mine and really thought about it, but they give kind of a generic, all of these are in kind of crappy shape and we don't take real pictures of them. These units are fully functional, B, C grade, whatever pictures we provide are not of the one you're going to get. And it's like, I don't really like that. But, because yeah, the pictures they show, this one looks really nice, but you have no way of knowing if yours will be. But again, $270 for a convertible touchscreen laptop is bonkers. And I would definitely not, for instance, buy this one for $50 less with half as much RAM. Oh, and an i5. That's a terrible deal. That's getting down into the pretty cheap range, even if it is 16 gigs. What do they say about the condition? Manufacturer's warranty? I seriously doubt that. It could actually still be under the Dell Pro Plus warranty. I maybe could extend the warranty on mine. Mine just came out of the Dell Pro Plus warranty in August of this year. But I'm not sure how that works coming out of whatever commercial environment it was in back to me. But anyway, this one's claiming it's still under actual Dell warranty for a few months. I quite suspect it would be under warranty to whoever bought the warranty and not you. But who knows? Okay, actual item pictured, so that's cool. There oddness going on at the top of the screen there? Hard to say. Yeah, case is a little beat. Scratches and stuff. Yeah, case is kind of a lot beat. But this is a touchscreen 2-in-1 modern laptop for $240. For fun, let's drop the 2-in-1 and we'll just look at 32 gig models. And maybe they are, maybe they're not touchscreens. I just got one because I just wanted to play with one. No charger, which is fine because you don't want a junk charger anyway. Yeah, that's $250. Let's see what kind of condition you get for that. Call it $270 because you got to buy a charger, but you never know if you're getting a Dell charger anyway. Great condition. I'm going to assume that is excellent. I see it's got Win 10 on it, which is not ideal in my opinion, but easy to overcome. Why would that screw be backed out randomly, or all the screws? Yeah, all of them are out in that picture. Gotta hope that's because they were cleaning it or something. At a glance, this one does appear to be in very nice shape. So, $270 is what I would call that. Here's a similar one that is for sure a touchscreen, because it says touchscreen, but probably not a 2-in-1. If I haven't made that clear, the 2-in-1 just means that it folds up and over to become a tablet, other than just being like a regular laptop where that's as far as it opens. $250. What are we getting here? Probably not a touchscreen. Looks like it's got some wear problems. Okay, so we'll put those in the $250 to $300 range. Let's drop even another generation. Yeah, I'm not seeing any point in doing that at all. Prices are all the same. And then if you step up to like the present generation, they get a lot more expensive. Yeah, so the price is pretty much double when you jump up to the next one, which is why I didn't. $1,000? I don't think so. I'm good with saving my $600 for now. And then should you want to, there is a larger version of these, which is is it 73? I think it's the 74 series. So that's the 14-inch version rather than the 13.3-inch version. What you're actually getting with these is not so much the screen, I don't think. I think these have a 10-key keyboard, like a numeric keypad. No, they don't. It is just a 3/4 of an inch bigger screen for, in this instance, a good bit more money. We're saying it's about $200 more, which is why I didn't get one. At the time, I didn't think that was a very good value. But I think these do come touchscreen and 2-in-1 as well, maybe not. So here's basically what I bought in the next one, the next screen size up, with a really, really baby SSD, 256. Also claims to be under Dell warranty, but it looks pretty nice. Yeah, like if I'd have seen this one when I was shopping, I would have considered it. This looks to be a pretty nice unit. But yeah, you get the idea. Just as one last check, we're seeing a lot of buy it now stuff. You can also roll your dice with the auctions. Let's see completed listings. What kind of deals people are actually getting. All right. So 16 gigs of RAM. Nice. That is a completely bizarre picture. Oh, wow. That's the original Dell box. I'm going to go ahead and say that's not as nice, but for whatever the best offer was, did it say? No. Sold for less than that. There's an expensive one like what I bought. Here's a cheaper one. 16 gigs of RAM. Not a 2-in-1. Probably not a touch. Same story. That is a 2-in-1. 32 gigs. So this is what I bought from Hawkline. Same place we just looked at earlier. Woo! There's a scorching deal. 8 gigs. Nope, can't do that. Also from Hawkline. 16 gigs. Yeah, 270. Yeah, I'd say that's about what you could expect. Probably under $300 you can get a pretty nice unit. Let's drop back to the prior and see if they make any more sense. Woo! Dang, that was a good deal. No OS, that's no problem. Little baby SSD. $150? This is exactly the kind of thing where I would be curious to get one to resell to one of you. Do a little bit of restoration on it, but just to check it out and see what you can get for that kind of money. Woo! 32 gigs of RAM for $200? That's a good deal. Oh, parts only, I wonder why. Some of these have like locked BIOSes, so you literally can't do anything with them. So you got to be careful about that. Bad onboard RAM, so this is valueless. I would not pay anything for that. Seems like, oh, a lot of 2. Somebody bought 2 of these things for $200? Okay. I'm pretty leery of stuff like this. Past post, that means it literally just turned on. Pretty sure these are probably parts units, but man, $100 a piece. Maybe you could build one out of 2. But anyway, deals are certainly out there. I think right now this is a good class of unit to be looking at if you do need yourself a quote-unquote new laptop. I always suggest that when you get a new computer, it's up and running. Maybe it's not perfect. In fact, I know this one's got a couple gremlins, but that's all right. Always back it up when you first get it so you have that to fall back on if all else fails. Our next video on this thing, it's going to be getting a new SSD because 512 is too small. And we're also going to be doing a completely fresh reinstall of Windows on it and probably also Office. We've got some fun stuff coming up in that for you. Once I get done with that, I will probably back it up again because then it's going to be my set point. I'm going to know where I started. I'll probably also use that as an opportunity to grab like all the Dell drivers and stuff as they exist today, which is, early November of 2025. So then I have those to kind of stick away in my backup too, to get this thing back to where it is right now, at least operating the way it should. Right now I know it's got some driver stuff going on, like that we should be able to have a screen flip thing when we 2-in-1 it, and it's not doing any of that. But we'll fix all that with our own install of Windows. But for right now, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at what you can get for really not much money for the capability. It's really shocking. And then what you might expect to get when you actually unbox it and put it in your hands, take a look at it. As always, I appreciate you guys stopping in for this video. We'll catch you on the next one.